La primera vez. Voy a quitar lo de los subs, ¿vale? Para que no moleste. Voy a subir un poco esto. A ver. A ver, venga. Ahora pone una hora. Y tú, joder. Vaya soniditos, ¿no? Esto es lo que vimos con el Game Engine. Esto es lo que vimos en el E3, ¿eh? Esto también lo vimos. ¿Te imaginas? Cortan, ya está.
Hi everyone, my name is Philippe Ducharme. I'm senior producer on Dead Space. With me here today is Raman Campos Oguera, the creative director on the project.
Hello everyone.
T'es prêt, Raman?
Toujours.
All right, let's get started. So what we're about to do today is a bit unorthodox for us at EA. We're going to give you, with this live stream, a first look at some very early, and I'll say very, very early footage.
Very, very, very early.
Lo repiten mucho, ¿eh? Muy, muy, muy. O sea, es muy temprano esto.
Because we want to be open with the communication and open about how we're tackling this game. However, I want to be clear. This is not a gameplay reveal. We're not going to be showcasing very long sections of the game or one full chapters. We want to give you all an early look at the game that we're making to be able to see reactions across the community about the game that we're making. And there's two reasons why we want to do that. First, at Motives, one thing that really is important for us is that we want to create a game that excites players. And I think that SARS Squadrons was actually a great example of this. It came from the nostalgia that the team had over the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter franchise, and it carried through in the experience that they created. And it's a little bit what we want to do for Dead Space. We see this project, and we want to make sure that we're honoring the legacy, that we stay true to the source, true to the original. And for us, the best way to do that is to engage with the community early on, to be able to give you first look inside, like behind the curtain.
Que se quieren mantener fieles a la esencia y que quieren enseñarlo para tener un poco la respuesta de la gente, a ver qué hacen y qué, o sea, qué dice la gente.
We got in contact during the conception phase with the community council that we created, some hardcore Dead Space fans that remain active even after years of inactivity for the Dead Space franchise. And with this community council, we've established a relationship where we gave them first look at some of the executive presentations that we were making within EA, some of the creative brief, game design documents, first playable footage of the game. And in exchange, we asked them brutal feedback. Like, what are we making? Is it good? Is it what fans expect out of it?
Es raro, ¿no? Esto. Que enseñaran documentos del estudio y todo el rollo a fans que de la comunidad y eso.
We have Jackie Butler and Khalif Adams joining us for this live stream. Hello, Jackie. Hi, Khalif. How are you?
Oh my goodness. Hi, Phil. Hi, Roman. We're doing great. Very excited to be here.
Excited to see you both, seeing that you're all hanging out in Montreal looking good. I see they got you all made up, looking cute. I love it. I appreciate it. I'm Kali Fathoms, one of the hosts or the host of the Spawn on Me podcast. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a huge Dead Space fan. I've been waiting for this for a very long time, and I get to rock with one of my favorite content creators on the planet, Jackie. Let the folks at home know a little bit more about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackie Butler. I'm a cardiac nurse extern, soon to be RN, as well as a streamer and content creator here on Twitch. Let me tell you, Khalif, Roman, Phil.
Joder, ¿no?
There's very few games that I wish I could experience for the first time again.
Joder, no solo es streamer, ¿no?
So I'm literally over the moon to be here. No, pun intended, you know what I'm saying?
Ha flexeado un poco ahí, yo creo.
And talk about the Dead Space remake.
All right, let's get started.
So we're gonna dive right in with the classic dark and claustrophobic headbanger hallway. Shown here on the screen is what Dead Space looked like in 2008. Although revolutionary for its time, let's see the design process.
Este es el de 2008, O sea, es el original esto.
Yeah, so actually, one of the first things that we did was we went back to the legacy assets for the game. So we wanted to recreate with the proxies, the full ship, the Ishimura, to recreate it. And then our team went in and started an added level of details to the environment so that we could have a higher fidelity.
Hostia, han mantenido incluso el pasillo igual, lo que le han añadido detalle.
Like on next generation of consoles. So we went in, added details, then started working on the shaders and the materials to try to have that metallic look that we were after, and just like to get the right materials out of the environment. From there, we did like a first pass at lighting to try to get the mood right, because the atmosphere of Dead Space is pretty much on lighting, and then on VFX to try to get like that full picture of what are we after, what are we trying to achieve for the game. And it looks great on a few stills, but it actually looks way better in game.
So what type of engine did you guys use to create this? And what graphics are you aiming for?
So great question, Jackie. We're using Frostbite as our dev engine, and we're going for, obviously,
Frostbite se sabía ya,
graphics, high-end fidelity, and our focus is on lighting, VFX, and just overall audio experience to make sure that we would deliver the right atmosphere, something that was key in the original game.
Yeah, so I know we have a real live functional build currently. Can you bring that up? And this again is a work in progress.
So yes, that's super early. Like it's end of pre-production build. We are just starting production, so it's really, really, really far from being done. But one thing we really wanted, and you touched about it, it's really wanted to make sure that we nailed the ambience, and not only the look, the lightings, the VFX.
¿Ves? Esto se nota que es early. ¿Sabéis? No cuando quedan 2 meses para que salga un juego y te ponen pre-alfa. ¿Sabes? Sí, tú, hombre, no, pre-alfa no es.
Not only it's in engine, it's actually in game. And here's my boy Isaac. So that rig, that armor, it's not the original, it's a new one. It's still work in progress. It's gonna be improved a lot, but it gives a first taste at Isaac Clarke in the remake. And look, here we are.
Wow.
I mean, the lighting, everything looks phenomenal. The smoke.
It looks so good.
Very much what we should be expecting at this point from next generation graphics.
Y aún habéis visto las texturas ahí, ¿sabes? ¿Ves? Pero es lo que te digo, esto se nota mucho que es super early, ¿sabes? Se nota un montón, o sea, va fatal, no sé qué, es un puto pasillo, no hay nada. Esto se nota un montón, pero esto de verdad es algo early, no como, ya te digo, como cuando quedan 2 meses y te dicen, es una pre-alfa, los cojones, es una pre-alfa.
PS5, Xbox Series, or for PC, is that it's not about one thing. Like Dead Space is a super strong experience, and so it's really about improving on a lot of different elements to create that original but still new experience. Whether it's the new lighting and ray tracing, whether, like Phil mentioned, it's about audio, whether it's improvements to gameplay and having new zero-G, or as you're going to see maybe later, improvements and dismemberment and how you actually deal damage to the enemies. Whether it's about having an unbroken and continuous experience, it's about doing a lot of improvements and how we enrich that experience. And so that's really what that remake is about.
Yeah, because, we have been looking at Reddit, we've been looking online, and there has been some people in the community noting that, the game already stood the test of time. This is still considered to be, quote unquote, a perfect game.
Exactly. And so, like we show, like I mentioned,
Hombre, perfecto, tampoco.
It's to capture that,
Pero bueno, que puedes jugar Dead Space 1 hoy día y se puede jugar perfectamente, vamos.
But like you've never experienced before, and that's really the age we're after, I believe.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier. Like we want to make sure that we're honoring the legacy. That's one of our production pillars that we have for the game. But at the same time, we want to make it relevant for today. Like the games have evolved a lot since the original Dead Space came out. From obviously graphics, which is like the easiest way to see how it changed, but also as far as systems.
Not easiest necessarily to make.
Well, no, not easiest to make. No, that's for sure. But as far as systems, as far as just opportunities for gameplay and how to leverage it, that's something that we think that, given the evolution that Dead Space had within its own franchise with Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3, but also how the franchise, how just the game industry evolved outside Dead Space, there's opportunities for us to make a better, a more complete experience, let's say.
Yeah, I'm just blown away at how good everything looked from just even that small glimpse into the engine. It feels like, I know you're saying it's really, really early. It's really, really early, but it's just, this is really, my goodness, what is it going to look like getting kind of further down the line? So that's really fantastic.
We might keep some surprise for later. Yes.
Nice.
So, can you please now show the stat comparison of the original 2008 game versus the current project?
A ver.
Yeah, that's a massive difference. You remember
el traje mola, cómo se ve.
In a certain way, and you think that it looks great, but then when you see improvement,
que estoy seguro que mucha gente al ver el momento en movimiento, en su cabeza recordaba Dead Space 1 como lo hemos visto ahora. Y no se ve así, se ve como veis allá arriba, ¿sabes?
Where we're able to kind of take all the kind of small details you're seeing on the newer model of Isaac is really fantastic to see.
Es que estoy seguro que muchos habrán pensado, no ha mejorado tanto cuando hemos visto el movimiento. Porque lo pensabas así, con la luz y tal, y no.
It is definitely, and like the team is actually extremely passionate. We're referencing a lot to the original game, having a lot of looks at it, and like I said, by making it relevant, we're looking at different games and what they did, and see how can we bring it back inside Dead Space. So, like one of the example is something that we're trying to do is to have an unbroken experience, to make the game fully seamless. And how can that create an experience where the players even more immersed within the game than was previously the case?
Quieren hacerlo con básicamente una toma, sin cortes, como el God of War nuevo.
From even before the start screen till the end of the game, the rolling credits, to never have any break of experience, to have that full and uninterrupted sequence shot. And so that, of course, has a lot of impact on what we're building. And just starting with how the Ishimura and the structure of the game is built, because we don't want any cut. So there should be no loading. How the full ship should be walkable from end to end, seamlessly, etc. There's a lot of elements.
Me gustaría que hagan con el Ishimura. Es que no sé si va. Pero que el Ishimura se sienta, me gustaría como la mansión de Resident Evil 1, tío. Que llega un momento en el que te la aprendes. Que te aprendes cómo ir de un sitio a otro de memoria, tío. Si puedes andar de una punta a la otra, ojalá hagan del Ishimura como la mansión de Resident Evil 1.
Just because they were so immersed within the game, and that's what we're after. That's like the type of immersion that we want to be able to achieve.
That's going to be a back-of-the-box quote. You can't go to the bathroom on the back of the box. I appreciate it. But I also heard you talk about, how you want to double down on, or at least really focus in on what makes Dead Space fantastic around the horror aspect of the game too. I'd love to hear more about that.
So, of course, horror, it's one of the main pillar of Dead Space. And it's about a lot of elements in Dead Space. So, of course,
En el Dead Space 1 es bastante lineal, sí. Hay un poco de backtracking también, porque no me acuerdo si tenías que encender el motor y luego volvías y tal, pero era súper lineal. Y tenías la rayita esa que te marcaba el camino también.
The main element for us was to get the ambience right, and so that's why we started with elements like, for example, the Headbanger Corridor or the workshop that you can see in the teaser, is to make sure that we capture the ambience. It's about more than just the gore or the monsters or the story or the character. It's really about the Ishimura and how isolated and stressed you feel when you're inside that ship. And so that's really an important pillar for us. And so that's why we want you to be fully immersed and to never be able to pull out from that experience.
The pacing was so good. Like, it was a masterclass in pacing, the original Dead Space, to keep you on the edge of your seat all the time. And that's actually something that we challenged the team early on. Like, how can we make sure that we don't break that recipe, that we don't break the right amount of nothing happening that's going to actually increase the level of tension when you're playing. And so far, the team's been taking that challenge and doing an amazing job at it. And it's always something that's at the back of our head in every review that we're doing, and they're delivering amazing work on it.
It's one of the things, it's how can we keep players constantly on their toes, and we might have some surprise coming on that, and on how much you can be surprised even when you're doing something you wrote. It's a lot of fun.
So what would this stream be without necromorphs? Isn't that what we are really here for? When we say cut off their limbs, you know, we want you to experience every gory detail of dismembering iconic necromorphs. Now we will showcase our dismemberment gym. The dev team has created a peeling system that will be implemented into combat.
Mira la white box.
Would you mind telling us more about the original
Aquí es donde se hacen
system
pruebas del
versus the
gameplay y
new
todo el
system and
rollo.
what
¿Puedes girar
really
eso
actually
todavía?
means?
I think actually something that's very important, as you can see with the feed, like it is definitely a gym, and it's intentional that we showcase this in a gym because we're so early with it. Visually, we're not at the right level of quality where we want to achieve.
Se nota.
We want to showcase
Se nota un montón, que es súper, que están en un estado súper early.
So obviously,
Yo no, así como lo veo, a no ser que esto sean builds viejas y tal, esto no sale el año que viene, os lo digo ya. O sea, esto no sale el año que viene ni de coña, vamos.
Those modelizations are not final and missing a lot of things like flesh tearing, etc. But one thing that is important for us that I just show, it's first, of course, dismemberment is back. And it's back with all the depth and
yo creo que en el E3 del año que viene, en el EA Play del año que viene, dirán 2023.
Those are the things you can say only on Dead Space.
2024 no creo, pero 2023 seguro. 2023 seguro.
About that experience, it's when you're using a weapon that is not a carving weapon, like something not like the plasma cutter. Plasma cutter is really fun to use. You can.
Porque pensad al menos que no es un juego nuevo, completamente. O sea, vale, aunque tienen una base ya de cosas de mucha parte del arte, de la historia, tienen muchas cosas ya hechas, ¿sabes?
Not necessarily as visceral and as clear as the original. And so that's the thing we're working on at the moment, and we call peeling. It's basically that body destruction technology that we're developing that is allowing us to really remove, so at the moment, the flesh.
Lo veis que dice, ¿no? Le llaman peeling, ¿no? La tecnología esta de que se va quitando los trocitos de piel. ¿Ves que se ve el hueso del brazo izquierdo? ¿Lo veis? Mira, mira. Pero ya ha dicho, que no está esto ni cerca del nivel visual que esperan alcanzar. Que lo repite, que de verdad que está muy verde. O sea, es muy raro que una empresa AAA enseñe esto,
An example of what we can do is that we don't have anymore to choose which feature we actually want to push. We can have dismemberment. We can have much more precision and body destruction. We can have seamless loading for the whole ship, etc., etc. And that's something really interesting for us. And another thing that is actually really interesting is that system. So again, for the moment, it's really early. For the moment, You're only showcasing it on the naked slasher, so you only see it with the flesh. But of course, later it's going to support like the claw, body armor, different layers, weak points, etc. But it also improved one of the core of shooting in Dead Space, which is around the precision, and not only the precision of my weapon, but as an example, the precision of the plasma cutter. And so if I was to shoot, let's say, on that leg, then if I'm shooting here, I'm not going to cut the leg, because I'm not shooting at the place where the bone is actually visible. If I want to cut that leg now, I need to be much more careful and precise.
Tienes que ser más preciso ahora para cortar los miembros, porque si disparas una vez le ves el hueso, pero no te vale disparar en la pierna en general otra vez. Tienes que disparar exactamente donde has dado, porque todo tiene el punto débil.
Some weapons that are better at cleaning the enemy and removing the flesh and the tissue, etc. And that's something really interesting for us.
Anytime Roman speaks about dismemberment, he gets overly passionate and expressive about it. Even with the team internally, he shows a lot of passion in that topic. So
yeah,
I can just imagine you being on the phone and talking to somebody who's like, "Yeah, we need to get more body dismemberment and more destruction on the body," and people are just like, "What in the heck is he talking about?" But it looks great.
Sometimes,
it looks amazing.
Sometimes there's weird moments like that in the team where you do a meeting about dismemberment and blood and gore and dead bodies, and you misspell somebody's name and you're inviting somebody else to that meeting that is not part of the team, and they go like,
"Oh no." Brace yourself, strap in. So Roman, on what level can we expect the detail of filleting necromorphs, essentially? How detailed are we talking here?
In terms of the body destruction, the peeling, it's going to be really super detailed, as we can see on that video. So that's the first steps of that technology, if the video is playing, which is not, I think, at the moment. Yes, here we go. You can see that it's really super precise. It's exactly where you're aiming, where you're shooting. It's exactly.
Puedes ver las diferentes capas, tú. Mira eso.
Of the projectile at the enemy. If it was fire, you would see it going through the body of your enemy and burning the flesh, etc. It's the peeling, that body destruction system is going to be.
Qué guapo, tío. Había un lanzallamas. Espero que cuando les quemes veas cómo literalmente se les va quitando la piel, la capa de arriba.
Here, where we want to improve it, because we feel like characters like the slasher, for example, it was already really deep in terms of gameplay.
Además han dicho que habrá armas que serán mejores en quitar la piel y las protecciones y otras como la cortadora en cortar. Lo cual estará muy bien porque eso te da un motivo para usar unas armas u otras.
That tend to be a bit lighter in terms of dismemberment and behavior, like for example the Infector or the Brute. Like, I can't wait to show you when you get behind the Brute and you start to peel his back and dig for weak points.
Oh, I can't wait.
That's the type of improvement we're going for.
Get to the weak points.
No sé vosotros, yo prefiero 50.000 millones de veces ver esto y que nos digan, oye, está súper verde, pero os vamos a enseñar un poco y os vamos a explicar, antes que ver el tráiler de Anthem de un juego que estaba en preproducción básicamente y que no era real y que nos mientan y que luego pase lo que pase. Prefiero ver esto 500.000 veces y que el juego salga dentro de 2 años. Prefiero eso, tío, es que no sé. ¿Sabes? Pues 2 años, pues 2 años, tío, no pasa nada, esperamos.
We don't necessarily always want the limb to go out and fly away, and sometimes we keep it attached by the layer of flesh or tendrils to the body. So currently that VFX is missing, but the technology to keep it attached and dangling is there, and so you can grab those with kinesis to make it a bit faster to dismember them, and then you can.
Qué guapo eso, ha dicho que puedes cortarlo y han dicho que tiene la tecnología pero que todavía no está implementado, de que a lo mejor le cortes el hueso pero el brazo se quede colgando de tendones y uses la telequinesis para arrancar el brazo, por ejemplo. Se quedará colgando por los tendones, por ejemplo, si le cortas el hueso. Eso está guapo.
By bringing it back, like it gives you an option to.
Apetece, la verdad.
Back the impalement from Dead Space 2, so it gives you an option to actually impale your enemies that's right in front of you and using it as a projectile against your enemies. So it gives you more creative opportunities to kill your enemies, really.
So that means that we're gonna go from we're gonna continue to have cut off your limbs, and we're gonna have dangle your limbs too. Be the thing that people are gonna start screaming in the chat pretty soon. One of the other, you talked about, how some of these pieces of tech are adding to the improvements of what this remake is going to wind up being. I'd love to hear you kind of talk a little bit more about, some other improvements that we've seen, not only in scale in terms of, rooms that we've seen before. We saw the Headbanger room a second ago, but I want to dig into, and let's pull up the Zero-G therapy room, which I think also showcases this kind of next layer of
la 0G la habrán hecho más parecida al 2 o al 3, supongo, ¿no? Porque la 0G del 1, ¿os acordáis? Que tenías que marcar un punto y dispararte, no podías volar libremente. Aquí lo han hecho más parecido al 2 y al 3. Mejor, ¿ves? Eso es un buen cambio.
So, for us, really, going back to the original Dead Space, it was something that we felt, so again, super early build, that we felt
un cubo ahí sin texturas.
We could actually improve in terms of experience and immersion. It's the Zero-G. And how you would move around in Zero-G. And that's something that was really good and improving the experience in Dead Space 2 and 3 that we felt was really missing.
Bueno, lo que está diciendo lo que acabo de decir al verlo.
And so that's why we took that mechanic.
Porque es que la 0G del 1
flying around when you're in Zero-G
era muy dura.
It's much more 360-degree freedom. And now you can play Dead Space and really feel you're in space during those moments. And so also that's a mechanic that we're starting to improve a bit on. Like, for example, now you can interact as you fly around. You can go into tighter corridors, those kind of things. But also, it allows us to revisit
Mira las zonas sin oxígeno.
content and create new ways to navigate, new paths. Like here in the original, you would have gone back through that door, through where you came from. And here, it allows us to create new environments with eventually new challenges to surprise also the people that know the game and will be like, oh, wait, what's that? What's this? And now we're gonna surprise you.
También te digo, para lo early que está, bastante bien se ve, porque normalmente los juegos se ven como la mierda hasta que salen, ¿eh? O sea, esto igual lo han maquillado un poquito para presentarlo hoy, porque normalmente ya os digo que los juegos se ven que no parecen ni el juego, ¿eh? O sea, igual han hecho esto un poquito, lo han maquillado un poquito para presentarlo hoy, para que la gente no viera habitaciones blancas todo el rato.
And provide something new for the players. So we're definitely on the lookout for these opportunities when we revisit each of these gameplay sections.
Love that.
Yeah, for me in the original game, that Zero-G jump was very disorienting. I don't know if anyone else agrees with this, but it made me very disoriented. So seeing quality of life improvements carried from 2 back into 1 with the thrusters and the movement is incredible. That's a huge improvement as is. You know, it's funny. The community quickly recognized and deciphered the Morse code from the Ishimura in the original reveal that we had. People figured it out right away from the blinking, flashing lights. But, you know, we didn't see any comments on the subreddit or online about the thrusters on Isaac. There was nothing. Where was that? Look alive, chat. But yeah.
But no, it's really interesting because then also, like I was mentioning, it allows us to revisit to Zero-G areas, potentially create new ones, and add a whole set of different challenges, that were not present in Dead Space 1 that we can now create.
Estará el baloncesto, tío. Había baloncesto en el primero, ¿no? No había la zona esa de baloncesto que tenías que tirar la pelota.
Yep.
Era como un minijuego.
There was also one question
¿En el
and
2?
topic that was prevalent throughout the community that we saw time and time again, and that is the topic of microtransactions. You know, they were apparent in Dead Space 3, so at this point, can you please be transparent and honest regarding microtransactions, and you know, if that will make an appearance in Dead Space 1 Remake?
So very, very clear, no microtransaction, none at all. No, not
That's what I'm
like
talking
you
about.
mentioned already in an interview, I think, yes, no, we don't have that in the remake.
That's awesome.
Good.
That's
Pues
awesome.
ya estaría.
It's good to hear. I think everybody
So
in the
this time
chat and
it's
everybody in the
on the
community.
¿Te imaginas que dijeran? Lo queremos dejar súper claro. Va a haber un puto Cristo de microtransacciones.
That's two back-of-the-box quotes that we've gotten for the stream already. That's easy. Well,
Ya, en el 1 no
done.
había, pero han pasado muchos años desde
You know,
entonces y la
we talked a
industria ha
lot about,
cambiado,
you know, the
entonces...
improvements, things you kind of want to transition, ways you want to improve. Not only the gameplay, but
Cuando no se
also
sabía nada de
but I
esto, yo
think
dije, me
one thing we
fliparía un
haven't
remake
discussed
del Dead Space y EA va a hacer lo que hizo Capcom. Están haciendo lo que hizo Capcom. No va a haber microtransacciones y ya está. Y van a venderlo de esa manera, además. Van a decir, es como el tal, como el de antes, una experiencia clásica, pero mejorada, tal, seguro. No va a haber nada, no va a haber ni skins, ni nada, no va a haber nada de pago. Nada. Yo no lo creo. Van a copiar exactamente lo que hizo Capcom. Exactamente. No van a hacer otra cosa. As you try to survive all those space zombies and stuff, and trying to find Nicole, trying to solve that mystery. Y de nuevo, esto no es porque nos quieran un montón, ¿eh? Lo van a hacer porque es la mejor manera de generar dinero. En este caso en concreto, en este juego, para esta audiencia, lo que tienen que hacer es esto, para generar el mayor dinero posible. Lo que están haciendo. It's really about the bigger universe of Dead Space. We want to have more ties with what came after. Porque no verás a EA decir, en el FIFA no va a haber microtransacciones. No le verás decir eso en la puta vida. ¿Por qué? Porque no. Porque no. In a more, in a better way, if I can say, inside that broader universe. And yes, sometimes it can be through really soul message or the audio links or message in the environment. Sometimes it will be a bit more, and we can come to that later. But also one thing we wanted to make, we wanted to build a bit more on some of the characters around Isaac. Han dicho que la historia no va a cambiar, pero que quieren meter un poco más en algunos de los personajes. That's really important in Dead Space. It's as Isaac in the story, you're looking for Nicole, but actually in game, not so much, as we can say. So that's something we want to improve. We want. Quieren mejorar el hecho que Isaac está buscando a su novia. Que en el original es verdad que la estás buscando, pero como que un poco pasando del tema. That's one of the elements that we're gonna not necessarily improve in the story, but enrich and that we want to add in the lore of the game. Si este es algo es que el equipo tiene mucho amor por este proyecto y no solo vamos a sacar pasta. Ya no, pero tú te crees que los developers de muchos juegos que tienen microtransacciones lo hacen porque quieren, no, lo hacen porque la empresa que pone la pasta dice, oye, esto tiene que tener esto. ¿Tú te crees que los que hicieron Dead Space 3 lo hicieron así porque quisieron? Para nada, no querían hacer eso, tío. Lo han dicho, de hecho, que no querían.
Yeah, I definitely had same questions on like my first playthrough and the many other times. It's like, what about the marker? What exactly did happen to Senior Medical Officer Nicole Brennan? I just want more of a cohesive, you know, make us whole narrative type situation, which I'm really hoping that you guys deliver on for this future game.
You will be one of the first to know, I think.
Primera sub. Ah, te has suscrito por primera vez. Cachuso. Eso se merece. Un slow clap que parece unas cachetadas en el culo. Tómatelo como quieras. O aplauso o cachetada, lo que gustes.
I've been thinking about, and hopefully you'll be able to give us an answer on this one, is will Isaac be voiced in this game?
¿Le van a poner voz?
Well, that's a good question.
Excuse me, I have something to say.
Bueno.
Oh, what?
Excuse me, I have something to say.
Inesperado. Como se nota que es un vídeo, ¿eh?
And it's been a long
Ya, han vuelto a meter el principio con el corte y todo.
Hi, I'm Gunnar Wright, and I'm excited to announce that I'm reprising my role as Isaac Clarke for the remake of Dead Space 1. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to give Isaac a voice. I can't wait to suit up, throw that rig on, and do my best to try to keep Isaac alive. Although I've got a feeling some of you might try to keep me from doing that. In the words of Isaac Clarke, stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
En el primero no tenía voz y en el segundo ya le pusieron voz.
Gunnar will be coming back.
He has to.
Negro, señor Negro, ha regalado 5 subs.
He has no choice. We made him do it. Phil Roman, share some thoughts on Gunnar coming back.
Well, actually, it was one of the first things that we discussed with the council at the very beginning. Like, it was one of those open questions that we had. The initial Dead Space, there was obviously no voice for Isaac. But that was changed for Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. Gunnar played an amazing part in this and delivered a great performance to create that character. And so for us, it was really a question like, oh, should we voice him for this remake or not? Should we stay? Which is why we engage in that conversation with all the folks on the council to try to see what, from your perspective, what was your opinion on this key topic.
Tiene mucho sentido que tenga voz, que le pongan voz otra vez en el primero. O sea, que lo hagan como los otros dos. Porque que un personaje no tenga voz en un juego como Zelda, por ejemplo, tiene hasta cierto sentido. Pero aquí no tiene sentido. O yo no se lo veo.
Yes, for me, it's so first, as a fan of Dead Space, before even being on that project, it was, yeah, Gunnar is Isaac. And revisiting Dead Space 1, amazing game, and revisiting Isaac, for me, we needed Isaac to be in Dead Space 1. And so that's why, for me, it was really important, and I was so happy to be able to have him be Isaac in Dead Space 1. But one thing that is really important for us, there is something that is key in the Dead Space theme and ambience. It's the isolation. You're alone. You're alone on that spaceship. You're alone facing those enemies. It's really that feeling of being isolated and alone. And
y por eso vamos a hacer el Battle Royale, ¿imaginas?
It fights against that. Like, you know, you're going to the basement, it's dark, and you're looking for the light.
Para enseñar el Battle Royale, 100 personas cayendo en la Ishimura desde el espacio. Y empieza, y tú, hostia.
That's something we didn't want it to break in Dead Space. And so Isaac is only going to talk. One of the rules that we have is that Isaac is only going to talk when he's being talked to. He's going to respond. He's going to engage with Eamon. He's going to engage with Kendra and so on. He's going to be part of those discussions. But then, when he's alone, when you're alone in that dark corridor, he's not going to talk. He's not going to break that immersion. He's not going to break that feeling of isolation. But one thing that was important for us, for Isaac as a character, is he's not a space marine. He's a really specific type of character. Not only is Isaac, but also he's an engineer. And so we really wanted to give him more a sense of being the main character of that story.
Dice, no es un Space Marine, es un ingeniero, que verdad, Isaac Clarke que es un ingeniero. Nos va a flexear que es un ingeniero. Va a hacer la clásica de ingeniero, de decir, cuidado. Se va a reír de la gente que es de letras.
We wanted to improve the character on that perspective. So here it is. Gunnar is back.
Couldn't be happier about that.
We couldn't either.
Jackie, what any more thoughts about Gunnar being back in the game?
No, I'm very excited. I mean, this is expected. The council very much told you guys that is exactly what we wanted, and I'm really glad that followed through. Everything came through. Very excited.
Yeah, I am hyped. Even though I did not get the part, it's okay, Gunnar. We will let you rock as Isaac this time around. You know, Dead Space 2 remake. I will be Isaac at some point.
You're a close second, Khalif. Close second.
See, this is why I love you.
Tío, no es como muy grande la Xbox que tiene detrás el tío este. Estaba mirando y digo, ¿este pavo tiene una Xbox gigante detrás suya? Es la nevera, supongo, ¿no? Debe ser la nevera, tío. Es la neverita o algo. Digo, hostia, gigante, ¿no?
Folks here watching the chat and everybody else out in the land who are Dead Space fans right now.
Yeah, well, one thing, like I said at the beginning, the purpose for us to do this is to hear your feedback, hear your thoughts. So hopefully we've shown a few assets, we've talked about the game. Hopefully that triggers some discussion that we're able to look and see and understand what's important for the community. So that's really the purpose for us, and we hope that the community is going to engage so that we can get that feedback back.
And another important element really for us is that we've started a little bit less than a year now on that project, and we start to have some amazing things, I think, and its production is just starting.
Ha dicho que empezaron hace poco más de un año, ¿eh? O sea que 2023. 2023 sí o también.
One of the most amazing team I've worked with, and I want to thank them again and again for everything they're doing. And not only because
2024 no creo, yo creo que se irán a 2020, yo creo que se irán a finales de 2023. Porque ha dicho algo más de un año, pero igual es un año y 5 meses. Yo creo que se irán a finales de 2022, de 2023, por el hecho de que digo de que tienen un montón hecho del original. ¿Sabes? Hay mucho, o sea, no es un juego hecho de cero, sin nada, que tengan que hacerlo todo de nuevo, no lo es. Tienen mucho en lo que basarse, tienen muchas cosas hechas, ¿sabes? Yo creo que finales de 2023. Eso es mi apuesta.
Right? Seriously, I don't want to live there, but I want that as a piece of my desktop art for sure.
Yeah.
We can hook you up, Jackie. We can hook you up.
Nice. Jackie, before we get up out of here, any last words for the folks at home?
No, you know, I had a wonderful time, and I want to thank Motive and EA, you know, for allowing Khalif and I to be a part of this wonderful community. Thank you, Roman and Phil. And, you know, also thank you all the unsung heroes, you know, on the dev team working hard to make this ship for the best possible thing, you know. So thank you so much.
Estaba mirando si tenía algún libro del archivo ahí en la estantería. Una pena.
To bring this game back to life in a fantastic way. I, as a huge fan, am extremely excited to dangle their limbs and do all of those things within that game. And we hope that also our friends and our compadres over in the council as well. We hope we did you proud today. Everybody at home who's watching the stream, make sure you go check out Dead Space Twitter account so you can get some more updates when they go live. And again, thank you so much for being here today. Take care, and we'll see you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Hasta luego. Bueno, pues bastante bien, ¿no? Bastante bien, ¿eh? Yo creo. Joder. Bastante bien, o sea, han ido de frente, han dicho lo que hay, no han venido, podían perfectamente haber hecho lo mismo, pero diciendo, vais a flipar, tal, esto está ya de puta, ¿sabes? Y como que intentar vendernos una moto, pero han dicho, esto es lo que queremos hacer, estos son nuestros objetivos, está súper verde, pero lo vamos a enseñar, tal, no sé qué, o sea, está bien, tío.